If you want a fulfilling, balanced life where you get to experience true freedom, you need three things. You need your mental and physical health. You need the resources, both the time and the money, to do what you want, when you want. And if you want deep, lasting happiness and a sense of meaning, you need relationships. I've seen too many people chase one of these three at the expense of the others. They make a lot of money, but their family falls apart, or their health falls by the wayside. I'm telling you, if you had all the money you could ever want, and you were totally healthy, but you had nobody to share your experiences with, your soul would wither. We are made for connection. We are hardwired for it. And yet, we're more disconnected than ever. Loneliness is an epidemic. People just don't know how to build and maintain genuine relationships. We've reduced so much interaction to emojis and like buttons. Now, don't get me wrong, social media can be great for sharing ideas. It's probably how you found us. But it's no substitute for shared experiences with the people that we love. That's why we created R40. It's a 40-day sprint to deepen and transform every relationship in your life. Your relationships with others, your relationship with yourself, and ultimately, your relationship with God. People can be tricky. Relationships can be difficult, and there's a lot that goes into building healthy ones. But I'm a firm believer that the absolute best part about life is experiencing the world with the people that we love. When you think back to your fondest memories, what are they? Like, think of a time when you were really enjoying yourself or laughing a lot. Where were you happiest? Was there a trip that you took that stands out in your mind? Maybe it was Christmas morning when you were a kid, or a significant milestone in your life, like the birth of a child or a wedding. Or maybe it was something that you achieved. Whatever it was, I'd wager that there were other people involved. Someone was on that trip with you. Someone made you laugh. Even in the case where you achieved something, if you think back to that moment, surely your instinct was to want to share your achievements with someone else, right? It's been said that happiness is only made real when it's shared, and I believe that. When you're watching a TV show and something funny happens, or you're at a party and something funny happens, have you noticed what your instinct is? Your instinct, if you pay attention to it, is to turn and make eye contact with whoever you feel closest to in that room. Like when I'm sitting on the couch at home and I'm watching my 1-year-old toddle around and he does something delightful. Without fail, my wife and I look at each other and smile. We connect over a shared, delightful experience. And that's the first big idea of this module. Humans connect through shared experiences. Interestingly, it doesn't even need to be a shared positive experience. Sometimes a shared negative experience can bring people closer together than anything else. Think about soldiers in a foxhole who are forced to trust and rely on each other in the middle of a hellish situation. Their shared suffering and their common experience causes them to be connected deeply. Experiences, good and bad, bring us closer together, and I'm convinced most people just aren't placing enough value on creating incredible experiences. At the end of your life, when you no longer have your health, and you're faced with the reality that you can't take your finances with you, all you will have are your memories, your library of experiences. So are you prioritizing them? Are you seeking them out? Are you intentionally creating them? Because this does take intention. Do you remember how magical Christmas felt when you were a kid? Maybe you had some Christmas Eve traditions like gift giving or milk and cookies for Santa. The whole month of December would have a kind of a magic in the air as carols play on the radio and the house is decorated with lights and bows and tinsel. The night of Christmas Eve, you're so excited you can hardly sleep. You wake up way too early, you sneak into the living room to look at the gifts under the tree. They're all wrapped meticulously, tempting you to open them early. And when you finally do get permission to open them, do you remember how it feels to open a gift that was something you actually really wanted? It's incredible. The whole Christmas experience is incredible when you're a kid. But it wasn't until I became a father myself that I realized magical experiences don't just happen. They take intention. Someone had to buy the milk and cookies. Someone, my dad, had to set up the Christmas lights and bows and tinsel. Someone had to do the Christmas shopping. Someone had to wrap the gifts. All of it was a carefully crafted, intentional experience designed for the kids to have an incredible time. So in this next section, we're going to cover how to become somebody who creates incredible experiences. And I'm going to give you 3 different types of experiences that you could start creating. You don't need to have a degree in hospitality to start providing great experiences for people. You just need some creativity, some tips, and a little bit of time. If we're going to talk about relationships that matter most and creating experiences that foster that connection, we have to talk about everyday magic. Here's what I mean. It's easy to think about throwing a huge party or going on a road trip, and we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about the kinds of experiences that you're creating and having every day in your home. Does your family have any rhythms or traditions in place? Do you get together as a family unit and have conversations, or is the TV just always blaring in the background? Do you pray together or share how your day was? Do your weekends just sort of come and go without a real plan or sense of purpose? Or do you capitalize on them to break up the monotony and do something different? It could be weekly movie nights, game nights, or even a Saturday morning breakfast ritual. But ask yourself, what consistent experiences are you creating with your family that you'll look back on and cherish? You don't need to spend a fortune or do something crazy to create memorable moments. Go for a hike. Go to the park. Grab an ice cream cone. If you have young kids, set up a bunch of hoses and sprinklers in your backyard and make a water park. The idea is to creatively and intentionally think about how you can break up your typical rhythms and provide an experience that's going to bless the people around you. Heck, you don't even need to wait for the weekends. It's called everyday magic. Here at Freedomology, we believe that life is a gift. Every day that our lungs are full and our hearts are beating is a gift. Every day is magic. So stop waiting for a special occasion to bust out the fancy china. Every day is a special occasion, and you can create little moments of magic every day. Beyond finding ways to build memorable experiences into your everyday, there are going to be times when you're bringing people together for something special. Whether it's a casual barbecue, a birthday party, or just a few friends coming over for game night. These are all opportunities to create connection, shared experiences that will serve as anchors in your relationship. If the idea of hosting a gathering feels out of your depth or new to you, here are just a couple of really practical tips to help it go smoothly. First, think about the vibe. How's it going to feel when your guests are arriving? How can you make it feel more relaxed and inviting? A little intention goes a long way here. I think the easiest way to set the right vibe at a get-together is background music. Can't tell you how many gatherings I've been to where everything just feels kind of stiff and awkward because there's a silence that's demanding to be filled. Instead, throw on a playlist before people arrive and watch how people relax. Music fills the gaps. It makes things feel intentional, upbeat, and it helps conversations flow naturally. But beyond just the atmosphere, it's about creating space for meaningful interactions. So sometimes that's as simple as making sure everyone's introduced with something in common or nobody's left out. You might need to break the ice for some people by introducing them. Again, what you're doing here is intentionally creating a space where memorable experiences can happen. So don't lose sight of the big picture. Stay flexible. You might have a plan of how you want the night to go, a certain game that you want to play or follow a set agenda. But if the evening takes a different turn, just roll with it. Some of the best memories come from those unplanned, spontaneous moments where people are genuinely connecting. Maybe the conversation takes over and nobody wants to leave the table. That's a win. It doesn't have to be perfect. People are going to remember how they felt much more than they remember the details. If they felt welcomed, connected, and seen, that's what they'll take with them. The next level of creating experiences for people would be planning a trip of some kind. It's one thing to value everyday magic, and it's one thing to have a get-together at your house, but it's another thing entirely to plan an unforgettable trip for you and your friends. Here at Freedomology, we call them soul stealers. It's where instead of you taking the trip takes you. There's something magical that happens when you go on an adventure with other people. These kinds of experiences are super powerful in deepening relationships because you're getting outside of your normal environment and you're exploring the unknown together. Trips like this can often take unexpected turns or have challenges that need to be overcome. And these make for some of the most memorable and exciting experiences of our lives. As we discover new places, those memories become ingrained in our minds, becoming part of the shared history that we build with the people that we love. When I turned 18, me and two of my mates jumped in a car and we drove from Sydney to Queensland. It's about 12 hours north. We stayed in a trailer park and we went to the beach every day. And I remember the feeling of windows down, wind in my hair, the sense of freedom and adventure that I felt with my two closest friends. It wasn't expensive, it wasn't fancy, we ate cheap food and we stayed in a trailer park, but it bonded us closely together and it still stands out as a powerful memory in our shared history. Since then, we've taken several more road trips. I live in the US now, but every few years we all meet up and we go on some adventure to a new place we've never seen before, following our noses and enjoying our time together. If you've never experienced a trip like this, I highly, highly recommend it. Does it take effort? Yes. It takes planning, it takes some researching and booking and looking at reviews to find the right places to stay, but it's so worth it. A road trip, a camping trip, a hiking trip, or some other explorative adventure, surrounded by a handful of people who are important to you, will absolutely deepen those relationships. So don't wait for someone else in your circle of friends to invite you to something. You do it. You be the one. Show the people in your life that you care and that they're important to you by prioritizing memorable experiences with them. The more you do this, as you and your friends build your life stories, you weave them together. The big takeaway here is to become a person of intention. We talk about that in H40, our health sprint, and F40, our financial sprint too. It's a theme that runs right through Freedomology. Don't let life happen to you. You happen to life. Have a plan. Be intentional. Take action. And as you do, your life's going to open up in ways you can't even imagine. If you want to know more about how to build and maintain deep, meaningful relationships, I'd encourage you to join our community and take a look at R40. Like I said, it's our 40-day sprint to deepen and transform every relationship in your life. You'll learn why you need relationships, why they are often so difficult and why they go wrong, how to work through conflict and come out the other side stronger, and how your relationship with yourself impacts your relationships with others. I can't wait to get started with you and see your relationships become a source of deep and lasting joy for you. We'll see you inside.